Well, we've got some massive news this week for some of our favorite altcoins. We've got 7 in today's video I want to cover because there has been some really good news that has transpired recently for these assets. Now, if you're wondering, well, why is it important we cover news at all? Why not just sit back, relax, and enjoy? Well, unfortunately, in crypto, even if you're sometimes a day behind the news, that can literally be the difference between you wanting to buy more of the coin, hold the coin, weather the storm, or sell and get out. It's literally that important to stay up to date. That's why I've decided, guys, for the rest of the bull run, I'm going to try to aim to bring you 2 to 3 news videos every single week covering multiple different coins. We're looking at tracking about 100 if possible right now. And so these are going to be coins I deem as high quality, likely ones you own in your portfolio. So make sure you're subscribed with that bell on. You don't want to be mucking around when it comes to news and crypto. Also, guys, hit that like button down there. I need to know if you find these entertaining and enjoyable, and that like button is the number one way I tell myself they liked it or they hated it. So make sure you go ahead and do that right now. And of course, before we get into the news itself, we are also doing a contest right now on a non-KYC exchange called CoinW, where you can be airdropped USDT and PYTH. So make sure you use the links down below, read the T's and C's, and get yourself some free money before the market starts heating up again, okay? It's very important you guys do this while you can. Now, we've got some really exciting things to come for these news videos, including after analyzing each of the news and updates for each of the coins we cover. And yes, that includes bad news and good news. I'll be updating my personal sort of bullishness or sentiment on each of these coins, which means depending on how the news comes out, you will see a meter that pops up on the screen. We don't have it sorted right now, but I'd love to have it on the screen for you now. That shows what I previously thought of the coin and what I now think of it. Okay, so whether it gains in terms of bullishness, gets bearishness based on the news, or just stays pretty neutral. Very important. This is going to help you out a lot, I think anyway, and let's begin. So first of all, we have news here in regards to Akash Network. Now, Grayscale, we all should know who Grayscale is at this point in time. These guys are an asset manager, heavily involved in the ETFs with crypto. Big pusher. I think they're one of the first ETF issuers, I think, of Bitcoin. Could be incorrect or correct there. Either way, they had this report that came out recently. AI is coming, okay? Crypto can help make it right. And they actually touch here on a few different assets. We'll get over to a couple of the other ones in a second, but most importantly, they mention Render, here specifically, resources needed for AI development, where they say Render offers around 10,000 GPUs, but specifically for artists and generative AI. And they mention Akash, all right, capacity of 400 GPUs, not as impressive, but focuses on AI developers and researchers. Now, they mention here Akash a little bit more, and they go into some more detail about how Akash is going to benefit the AI market as a whole. And again, we actually have another coin mentioned in later on in the video that will be included in this report. But either way, this leads some speculation. Again, this is speculation, so I do want to point this out, that Akash could potentially be added to the holdings of the Grayscale Decentralized AI Fund. We saw a few AI coins added to this list in different proportions. We had Filecoin near Render, LTP, so LivePeer, and Potenza Tau, okay? Most notably, Filecoin, Near, and Render are their most bullish assets, with LivePeer and Potenza a little bit less holdings, basically. Now, this is important, okay, because obviously Render is one of the top AI coins, so is Near, Filecoin, Potenza, and so on. But again, Akash is a much lower market cap than these coins, at least right now, okay, by about 4 or 3x. So we have more multiple potential here on Akash, and given that it's a marketplace for AI and renting GPU power for a specific alternative purpose, we may see Grayscale say, okay, this hits a different niche than what, for example, Render and other marketplaces do. Let's add it to our, decentralized AI fund. Again, this is speculation here. If you go ahead and read this report, actually, it's a very good report. Just simply Google AI is coming, crypto can help Grayscale. You'll be able to read more about it, okay? Very good report. And again, you want to be looking and reading between the lines when it comes to what may come out with some of these large institutions. They don't just kind of sprinkle in some projects for no reason. It usually means that there's cracks in the sort of facade behind what they're looking into. So at this point in time, I'd usually have my previous ranking for Akash versus my new one. And honestly, we're not going to have it in this video. Of course, not ready right now. But I would probably say nothing would really change. Maybe ever so slightly bullish, but not all that much at all, because it is purely speculation. But what isn't speculation is Chainlink. Chainlink's the next project on this list. This is some pretty big news, guys. Sony. Yes, Sony. If you have a PlayStation of any sort, these guys made that, of course. They're making their own blockchain now, okay? So Sonium is a next-gen blockchain by Sony. They recently created this, and they're using Chainlink to, interconnect with different networks, all right? Chainlink, of course, has more than just the CCIP at this point, the cross-chain interoperability protocol. They also now have oracles. Well, they've always had oracles. And they have random verify functions, right, for games, randomly generates things, right, for the randomness aspect in some games. There's a whole bunch of stuff, of course, Chainlink offers, and it's true, tried and tested, like in this report over here, mentioned by Sony on themselves, okay, as well as we have some more news in a second. But they said here, we are excited to support Sonium's vision through the Chainlink platform, enabling Sonium to extensively impact the current blockchain landscape and drive adoption both regionally in markets like Japan and globally. So, of course, this new project, Sonium, it's going to be pretty big in Japan. It's going to be pretty big over in Asia because Sony is massive over there. It's pretty massive everywhere, right? But this is obviously going to be great for Chainlink and other projects because now they're reliant on the underlying infrastructure. Now, I said other projects. Yes, there are others in the mix as well. I will make a very quick mention, but include this in today's 7 coins of Optimism. So Optimism is obviously stacking up, yes, pun intended, to be one of the most prosperous layer 2s, I think, this bull run. So make sure you pay attention because right now the market cap isn't all that large in comparison to where it likely will be able to go. We also had more news though with Chainlink. Radiant Capital integrates Chainlink price feeds to help secure its money market platform. So what is Radiant? Well, Radiant is a way in which you can earn and borrow crypto cross-chain, they say seamlessly. Let's hope so. It's pretty much built on layer 0, so it's between a whole bunch of different blockchains, which means that you can lend and borrow, let's just say Ethereum, and get out BNB tokens, for example, or get out USDC on BNB, for example. So it's pretty impressive, and this is obviously going to help the ecosystem grow as a whole. Prevents fragmentation, a whole bunch of great stuff. And like I mentioned before, in the case of Sonium, these guys actually went out and said as well that they choose Chainlink because, well, they're seamless and they're true, tried, and tested. Another benefit of being one of the first, right? The initial integration involves the use of the following Chainlink price feeds, ETHUSD, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Pretty, I guess, non-important for those of us who are actually not going to be using these, but nevertheless, you can see it on screen. There are quite a few price feeds, and the more price feeds that Chainlink hooks up with, especially in these bridges, these cross-chain products, it's the better because these are going to be extremely useful for this bull run. A lot of traffic coming in, which means obviously the more needed and more important these price feeds are, which is good for Chainlink, TVS, and so on, okay? So if I'm going to rank, what this news pretty much means for Chainlink, I think it's ever so slightly going to be increasing the bullishness meter. Not by much because there is so much that has stacked up behind the scenes already for Chainlink. This news would be impressive for a coin that really hasn't had much market impact or, I guess, engagement so far of the bull run, but there's so much more that goes on behind the scenes for Chainlink. This would definitely be bullish for it, but not going to impact it greatly. It won't be something that's going to be overly bullish. For Optimism, I think this could be pretty big. This is something that probably would jump up by a few points. Obviously, there's no scale here, so you can't see. That is pending though. The next coin we're talking about here is Mina protocol. Now, I updated you guys a few days back on Mina. Okay, I made a video on this. Mina actually had a massive update where they now allow people to build applications on the network, which has been audited. So it should be good to just go right out the box. So people are now able to create their own tokens built on this really interesting project where it's a blockchain, but it's only 22 kilobytes in size forever. I can get into the weeds of it, but there's not much point in this video. Essentially, this is massive. This is what would usually pump projects up substantially. The market's down, there's no general buzz, which means these things unfortunately fizzle out like a light with no oxygen stuck in a cave. So the thing with Mina is that why I'm so bullish on this project is the roadmap is stacked. So we can pretty much see here ZK apps on mainnet. It's a massive upgrade, right? That's what the red around the box means, but it isn't fully complete just yet unless they haven't updated it, right? So it's very close to regardless. Maybe they're just waiting for a few more checks, but we have some other really huge things on the horizon, this bull run, which will pump the price substantially. Instant finality, which is going to be massive. Where are you over here? Running Mina and compiling any code to Mina. Infinite horizontal scalability, which means it can just be as fast as it needs to be, right? Depending on traffic. And cross-chain custody will be massive. Using tokens and custodying tokens on any network, but through Mina. It's pretty insane. And what I'm personally the most excited for, which isn't apparently important enough for Mina to mention in a purple box, is ZK oracles. Pretty much pulling in any information from the internet without that website knowing about it, okay, like an API, and then using it on chain. Say goodbye to oracles. Like, that'll be an absolute killer application if it actually comes to fruition this bull run. Now, here's some huge news for us Flux fans. Flux recently launched Flux AI to showcase the underlying product, Flux Edge's capabilities. Okay, so let me read this paragraph. Hopefully it make a little bit of sense for you, because that can be a bit mumble jumble for those of you who don't know what the hell Flux is, right? Flux AI leverages generative artificial intelligence technology to mimic human interaction in answering questions and completing tasks. It also comes with a code assist feature that helps users write code or solve coding challenges. So this new product called Flux AI is like a text box that you can type and have like that sort of back and forth human interaction. It would be great for businesses looking to, well, have one of those things on their product page. I think a lot of websites have those now. Plus, also, you can use this to help develop things, which is a massive part of the bull run, right? Solving coding challenges, limitless potential of our latest product, Flux Edge. Now, unlike conventional AI platforms that exploit users' data to train to fine-tune their models, Flux AI is 100% private. Whatever happens within this chat box stays in this chat box. While conversation histories are preserved for improved interaction and accessibility, user data remains private and is not utilized by the Flux AI model in any way. So if you're still scratching your head, basically, there's this thing Flux created called Flux Edge. These guys are proof of work blockchain, okay, so they're like Bitcoin, except all that extra computation required to mine the blocks, rather than wasting that and having all the green people around the world complaining, fair enough, what they actually do is utilize that and say, we're going to actually allow people to render things, use it for AI, large language models, and a whole bunch of other stuff rather than wasting it. And so now they've built a product on top of that, Flux themselves, called Flux AI, okay, which has this chat box feature, large language model sort of thing, okay? This is pretty impressive. You guys can scroll through this. What I'm loving about Flux, by the way, is the fact that they're refreshing a lot of the websites. These guys are getting cleaner, okay? And I mentioned before that there was a project in this article that I wanted to touch on later on, and that's Flux. Flux was actually mentioned over here, as you can see next to Potensa, Nia, Fetch, Render, Akash, over here in compute marketplaces. Assets that provide critical resources, compute storage data, needed for AI development. This is going to be big. I'm surprised they didn't add ICP in here. Flux is pretty much a direct competitor to ICP, a very similar product. Either way, very, very big for Flux, considering the market cap for this little thing is so small right now. The upside here is, again, one of the reasons why I've said to people for a long time, this coin could 50x. Now, that was 50x from 30 cents from where it is right now, maybe 30x or so, but still much more impressive than other projects. This thing is a ticking time bomb on financially. Next up, a nice short update here. This is very impressive though for Aerodrome Finance. Aerodrome ticked the box in the last 7 days for the most revenue created in crypto, period. For anything, layer 1s, layer 2s, layer 3s, dApps, maps, FAPs, whatever. It did it. Number one, that's pretty impressive. It outpaced even Ethereum and MakerDAO. Okay, over $3 million in revenue. Very impressive. Big hats off to Aerodrome. One of the reasons why I hold this coin myself, it is the de facto DEX for Base, a pretty big ecosystem, I think, for the bull run. And lastly, it's Avalanche news today, guys. We do have some pretty big coins on this list today, I must admit, not many smaller coins. TYB and Shopify bring Web3 loyalty program to major consumer brands powered by Avalanche. So this app called TYB allows Shopify merchants to implement TYB's community integrated commerce tools to directly connect with and reward fans for taking valuable actions like referring friends to the brand, writing reviews, and so on. So, I mean, we have some of these products already in the real Web 2 world, but of course, this is all built on Web 3 powered by Avalanche. So, of course, what does that really mean? Well, ultimately, think of these applications like TYB built on Avalanche and other layer 1 projects. It always absorbs down, always demand up here absorbs down to the infrastructure, which is Avalanche, with the AVAX token, essentially. So the fact that this could actually take off, this is integrated within Shopify itself, meaning that there's probably a lot of brands that can now be leveraged by TYB and TYB's fans and brands and influencers, whatever else they have going on here. It could be massive, right? A lot of products on offer, therefore it might attract the end user. These 3 end users they're kind of going for at a different scale. So guys, that will do today's news. I understand I didn't cover the Mina, Flux, Aero, and Avalanche's individual scores because that might take up too much time. So what I want to do instead, again, is just simply have the before and after as I go through these next time so that you can actually see the ranking scores for each of these coins, which will hopefully allow you to gauge this yourself. So that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.